Welcome back to Life Enhancement Radio Station at lifeenhancementradio.com. It's your hostess with the mostest. I'm Sherelle Ashton. It's your show, your weekly show, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., The Compassionate Kind. And we are back talking about toxic relationships. Are you actually the toxic one in the relationship? We've already given you so many tips on how to know if you are the toxic one in the relationship. Now, here's the thing. I'm giving you so many signs and so many tips. Don't get cocky thinking, oh, well, I'm not all of these. Yeah, maybe I do this a little bit sometimes, and so I don't have a problem. Everything we're talking about right now is not a good look. So even if you don't have all of the signs, if you're not every one of them, if you are 2 or 3, that still ain't cool. And the things that we're talking about are things that any person would need to work on if they're doing it. You know, we've talked about having a superiority complex or being a manipulator or a negative person. We've talked about making threats in a relationship and being angry and hot-headed and not communicating and addressing problems. Those aren't good things. So if you're in a relationship and these are the catalysts for some of the problems that you're having, maybe you want to take a step back and address it. It's not a bad thing if you address issues. It's actually a good thing. And if you want to finally make something stick, finally make something work, maybe, just maybe, you should take some heed and listen up and just try. You know, a lot of times people get on the defensive when they start hearing about things, and they, you know, when someone gets on the defensive, they stop listening, and then, you know, that's the end of it. But maybe it's a good thing if you're listening to this and you're alone. You can kind of hopefully, I'm hoping that this is planting a seed and that you listen and that you hear and that you think about it. And then it allows you to be able to start a conversation with whomever you need to start a conversation with. And if just one person is touched, then that's all I can ask for. So the next one is something that I'm going to go ahead and be transparent a little bit, that I had to stop and take a look at. And it didn't affect me directly, but I thought about it that maybe that was one of the little issues that was unspoken. And, you know, and this is getting me to think, I often tell people, when I have conversations with my friends or people in general, colleagues or something that I'm talking to, I have this thing where I tell people, you need to reevaluate your life every 6 months. I used to say do it every year, but I learned as I started growing up and maturing in life, I learned that as humans, as people, we usually change about every 6 months. You know, major life events normally happen within 6 months. I mean, it's just a guesstimate. It's not fact. Of course, some people can have major life events happen, boom, 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 month to month or even week to week, just depending on who you are and what's going on. But as a rule of thumb, it's a good idea to reevaluate every 6 months. Most of the time we have major events happen within a 6 month time frame. And then you can kind of reevaluate your life and see where you're going and where you're headed and what you're doing. And this next thing, I had to take a step back, and I'm pretty sure that, I'm not the only one in this era, because we're in a new millennium. You know, we have these people, and I'm not a millennial, but we have this group that's called the millennials. I think they're a little younger than me. I think those are the ones who were born in the 2000s. And the millennials, they're just tech people and they're social media people. And this next tip is, if you're addicted to social media. If you're addicted to social media, you just might be the toxic one in the relationship. And I think when all these new things come out, I think we all get a little bit addicted, but what you have to learn to do is snap yourself back. And that's where I came into play. I definitely was addicted to social media, and I still love it. I still use it. I think we need it. I think it plays a great role in our lives. For me, I stay in touch with a lot of people by social media, people that I may not otherwise see, people that I haven't seen in years, people from high school that I haven't seen since high school, people that I meet along the way. I mean, I wear a lot of hats and I do a lot of things, and I meet a lot of people. If it weren't for social media and email and apps, I wouldn't get to do a lot of the work in the business that I do. So I really appreciate social media, but I can definitely attest to when like some new app comes out or some new thing comes out, it can be a little bit addicting. But as I was reading this and researching this for you guys, it was just talking about how we're constantly on Facebook and Instagram, snapping selfies and posting statuses without a single thought about the consequences. And the article was talking about how studies show that engaging in social media can create ambiguity in the relationship, which can cause jealousy. And I was like, wow, I never really had a problem with social media and anyone or anybody who was wanting me to get off social media. And I do have this thing, like if I'm out with someone, and not necessarily a relationship, but any kind of like meeting, whether it's a colleague or friends or anybody, I have this thing where if I'm out having a meeting or having dinner or whatever, that I'm not really on my phone so that I can give the time and attention to the person that I'm actually with. So I never really felt that it was giving me a problem, again, because I never had a direct situation with it. And I feel like if I'm on it and someone else is seeing me and I'm not with anybody, that's just my prerogative to be on it. But when it starts causing you problems in your relationship, then that's when you know. But when I was reading it and it said that it can cause ambiguity in your relationship and cause jealousy, I thought about it. I did kind of have an ex who I liked to be on social media, but they didn't. And they chose to do their time, maybe watch TV or have a drink or something like that. And I choose to be on social media. Well, if we're not engaged right now or having a conversation or communicating and you're doing your own thing and I'm doing mine, I can be on social media, right? So, but when I thought about it, I was reading this, I was thinking, well, I wonder if, he really kind of got a little jealous because I was on social media and making posts and doing things like that. Maybe the article definitely caused me to maybe spark a conversation about social media and how you respond to social media or how much time you spend on it. It's worth a conversation because, who knew people get jealous because you're spending time on social media? I mean, I know that there's a problem with people like hooking up on social media and doing those kinds of things. But who knew that you can just be like working or finding articles or snapping a selfie and you got someone being jealous? So that's something to think about. That's something to look at, So, but the article went on to say that, if you're posting scandalous selfies or neglecting to post about your relationship or flirting with exes and random strangers on the internet. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I guess maybe people can get jealous for stuff like that. But if you're just posting and working, I don't see what the problem is. But letting technology get the best of you can make you accidentally be the toxic one in your relationship. Your desire for other people to validate you may cause unnecessary jealousy in your relationship. It's best to sit down and talk with your partner about how social media could play a role in the success of your relationship. And so I definitely think this is a good tip. Like I said, with this day and age, everyone's on social media. I mean, everyone. Anytime my mother is now on social media, then everyone's on there. So I definitely think it's a good idea to sit down and talk to your partner about, when you're on social media, what are you doing and how long you can spend and if it's okay to be on when you're in each other's presence. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of more tips and we're going to start to wrap up. So another tip is if you're losing friends and relationships quickly, you got to take a step back and look at who surrounds you. Do you have family and friends, or have you burned a lot of bridges? If you have, you need to look in the mirror and be like, what's going on? Because, you have to kind of figure out, why are people not answering me? Why are people not calling me anymore? Why don't I have the circle of people that I used to have? You got to figure it out what you're doing. And that may even be humbling yourself and calling someone and saying, what happened with us? What did I do? And then you have to be strong enough and open enough to actually listen to what they say. Again, you can't be on the defensive and get the answers that you want and heal. So another thing, you only think about yourself. That's crazy. Who wants somebody that's selfish? Who wants to be in a relationship with someone who is like literally and utterly selfish? People who are self-serving, people who have no remorse when they hurt others. It's really difficult to be around people like that. So you're only aware of what your partner does to you and not aware of what you do to them. You call them out all the time, but you're not looking at the fact that you do all this other stuff too, and that's not fair. And the last tip that I want to give you is that you're avoiding conflict. If you're a person who is avoiding conflict, and actually I'm going to give you another one after that too, because I think the other one behind this one is very good. But if you're a person who avoids conflict, that ain't cool. I mean, life is full of ups and downs, and as are relationships, and you need to face the fact that not everything is always rainbows and butterflies. You have to address things. Again, this goes back to communication, and communicating with your partner and knowing what's going on and what their thoughts are and getting their opinions on things. The trick is to put your own discomforts aside for your partner and communicate your unease toward the situation while still showing that you're there for support and a listening ear. So you can't avoid conflict. You have to communicate and you have to address things. And the last one that I want to talk about is, if you never take responsibility for your actions, then you may actually be the toxic person in the relationship. If you're the person who blames everyone for your wrongdoings, that might boost your ego and you might be happy about it, but it's definitely destroying your relationship. So you can't play the blame game. You can't always deny things.